There is a realm where wealth is not earned, it is embodied, a dimension where abundance is not pursued, it is assumed, and only those who dare to act before they have, only those who behave as though the riches are already theirs, gain access to that sacred vault where the universe keeps its treasures. You've been taught to wait until the bank account grows, until the salary increases, until the applause comes. You've been programmed to believe that feeling rich must follow becoming rich. But what if I told you the opposite is true? What if the moment you act like a millionaire, with your posture, your thoughts, your decisions, your presence, the entire world rearranges to support the reality you just declared? This is not fantasy. This is the fundamental law of consciousness. The outer world does not create the inner state. The inner state commands the outer world. You don't act rich because you have millions. You receive millions because you act rich. Look closely at the ones who have it all, not just the visible riches, but the energy, the calm, the power, the certainty. They are not frantic. They are not chasing. They are not explaining, they are being. They are the silent signal that triggers reality to obey. They speak wealth without uttering a word. Their silence echoes louder than most people's noise. And do you know why? Because they understand something you've forgotten. The world doesn't give you what you beg for. It gives you what you are. So let me ask you, who are you being today? Are you walking into rooms with the energy of someone who owns the room? Are you making decisions from fear or from faith? Are you telling your money how to move, or are you letting the world tell you who you are allowed to be? To act super rich is not about buying expensive things. It's about knowing you could if you wanted to. It's the calm power of choice. It's the absence of desperation. It's the quiet confidence that your very presence adds value to every place you enter, that your mind, your time, your attention, these are the true currencies. Stop asking life for permission. Stop waiting for the miracle. You are the miracle. Walk like it, speak like it, think like it. When you do, everything changes, not gradually, but instantly. Because reality bends for identity. There is no waiting line for the rich mindset. You don't get in by hustling more. You get in by stepping into it mentally and spiritually, today, now, with what you already have. Because when you hold the energy of wealth, wealth has no choice but to come home to you. You cannot fake this, but you can feel it. And once you feel it deeply enough, the world believes you. And when the world believes you, it delivers. Don't ask the universe to make you rich. Show the universe you already are. Act like it, be it, embody it, and watch what happens next. Master the energy of calm certainty. Wealth doesn't chase, it attracts. True wealth doesn't run, it doesn't plead, it doesn't announce itself with anxiety or urgency. It sits, it breathes, it moves like a current already sure of the ocean it's heading toward. The energy of calm certainty is not something you wait to develop when the money shows up. It is the energy that creates the arrival of money itself. This is the greatest illusion most people live in, that wealth is the cause and certainty is the effect. But in truth, it is the other way around. When you start walking with the quiet conviction that what you desire is already on its way, life bows to your energy. The universe doesn't reward those who panic, it flows toward those who know. Picture someone who already has everything. They don't rush to prove their value. They don't lower their voice or raise it out of insecurity. They speak slowly, clearly, and directly. They choose their words like someone who knows their words carry weight. And why? Because they trust their own voice. They're not trying to sound rich. They are rich, energetically. And this energy is what bends reality in their favor. Now imagine carrying that energy into your own life. What if you approached your day with the belief that everything is working out for you? not by chance, but by design? What if in every conversation you held the energy that says, I don't need to prove anything, I just need to be? What would shift? How would people respond to you? How would life respond to you? Calm certainty is magnetic. It makes people lean in. It makes doors open. It makes resources flow toward you because people, circumstances, and outcomes naturally move toward that which feels steady, safe, and powerful. When you're calm in your belief, you are declaring to the world, I already know it's mine. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. You're not acting superior. You're acting secure. And that security is a frequency the universe recognizes. It's the language of kings and queens. It's the vibration of someone who doesn't ask if they'll make it. They know they already have. So breathe deeper, move slower, choose more deliberately. Let the world feel the energy of someone who has already received. And as you do, reality, that obedient mirror of your dominant state, will begin to reflect exactly that. Speak, move, and decide as if every choice creates your empire. Every word you speak is a seed. Every step you take is a blueprint. Every decision you make sends a message to the universe about the world you are building and the identity you are choosing to embody. The super rich don't operate in randomness. Their choices are deliberate, intentional, and rooted in vision, and that vision is what makes them powerful. To act like the super rich is not to flaunt, it is to design. It is to know that your words are not casual, your time is not expendable, your movements are not accidental. They are the construction tools of your empire, and every time you speak in defeat, you build a wall. Every time you act out of fear, you dig a ditch. But every time you speak life, move in confidence, and decide with boldness, you lay a foundation that holds the weight of greatness. When you speak, do you speak from limitation or from vision? Do your words echo the past or do they declare the future? The rich don't talk about what's missing. They talk about what's next. Their language creates momentum, not excuses. And your mouth too must become a tool for manifestation, not a weapon against your own abundance. Movement matters too. You don't need to sprint or rush, but you must move with purpose. Enter a room as if you belong. Walk like someone who knows they are building something eternal, not temporary. Let your body speak power, because your body doesn't lie. It shows the world how you see yourself. So train it to walk like royalty. And then there are your decisions, the silent creators of destiny. Most people wait for guarantees before they move. But the wealthy move because they've decided the outcome is already theirs. They invest before the money arrives. They choose excellence when mediocrity is more comfortable. They say yes to vision when everything else says, wait. This is what separates those who dream from those who live the dream. So start treating every decision, big or small, like a brick in your empire. Don't choose from fear. Don't shrink to fit what's safe. Speak boldly, move confidently, and decide from the place where your future already exists. Because when you do, you no longer chase the life you want. You build it, one powerful choice at a time. Value your time, your attention, and your peace like priceless assets. If you want to embody the mindset of someone who is super rich, begin with this single truth. Your time is your currency. The rich understand this more deeply than anyone else. They don't waste time, they invest it. They don't hand out their attention freely, they direct it. And they guard their peace with the same intensity as they guard their bank accounts. Why? Because they know the most powerful resource they possess is not money, it's mindset. And mindset is shaped by what you allow to occupy your time, your focus, and your inner world. You must treat your minutes like millions. Every hour you spend in chaos, comparison, or confusion is a withdrawal from your internal wealth. You may not feel it in the moment, but it's there, draining the very energy you need to create, to build, to ascend. The super rich know this. That's why they aren't easily accessible. They aren't addicted to notifications. They don't give their focus to every distraction, every drama, every low frequency situation. They choose where their energy flows because they understand that energy is the architect of reality. Ask yourself honestly, what are you spending your attention on? Is it feeding the identity you want to become or starving it? Are you entertaining gossip, negativity, or fear? Or are you feeding your vision, nurturing your peace, and protecting your focus like it's your most valuable investment? You don't need a private jet or 10-figure deals to act like the wealthy. You just need to start saying no. No to urgency, no to access, no to anything that doesn't honor your future self. When your time becomes sacred, the world begins to treat you differently. People notice, energy shifts, opportunities magnetize to you because they feel the strength of your inner boundary. And what about peace? Peace is not a luxury. It's a signal to the universe that you are aligned, unbothered, and deeply rooted in trust. When you prioritize peace, you're not escaping reality. You're creating reality. The more peaceful your inner world, the more powerful your outer world becomes. Peace is not passivity, peace is presence. It's knowing who you are, where you're going, and why no noise can distract you. Start speaking to your time like it's gold. Start guarding your attention like it's treasure. Start choosing your peace over performance. When you do this, you raise your frequency. And when your frequency rises, your results rise with it. Because wealth doesn't come to those who are available to everything. It comes to those who are available to only that which elevates. Be deliberate. Be selective. Be unapologetic. You don't need to be busy. You need to be aligned. You don't need to do more. You need to do what matters. Every second of your life is an investment. Make sure you're buying into your future, not borrowing against it. Dress your mind before your body. Inner wealth creates outer expression. It's easy to believe that style, status, and success begin with what you wear, that the suit makes the man, that the designer bag defines the woman. But real power, true wealth, it begins invisibly. It starts in the mind. Because what you believe about yourself becomes how you present yourself. And no luxury brand can mask the insecurity of a mind that hasn't yet accepted its own value. To act like someone who is super rich, you must dress your mind before your body. Before you choose your outfit, choose your self-image. Before you put on your shoes, put on your confidence. Before you style your hair, style your thoughts. Because your outer presence will never exceed your inner blueprint. And the world responds not to what you wear, but to what you radiate. The wealthiest people you'll ever meet have a frequency. You feel it before they speak. They walk into a room and shift the atmosphere. Why? Because their thoughts are aligned. Their inner talk is intentional. They don't dress up to impress others. They already impress themselves in silence. Their minds are clothed in certainty, assurance, clarity, and vision. And so everything they wear simply amplifies who they already are. Ask yourself, what are you clothing your mind with each morning? Is it doubt, worry, fear, and shame? Or is it vision, discipline, belief, and confidence? Are you hiding behind your appearance, hoping the world won't see your hesitation? Or are you letting your internal wealth shine through everything you wear, everything you say, and everything you do? True richness is invisible first. It's a thought, a belief, a decision. It's waking up in the morning and saying, I walk like I have it, because I already do, even if the world can't see it yet. That mindset is what eventually shapes the material world to reflect your inner conviction. Even fashion, even style, even grooming, they become acts of worship when they flow from belief, not insecurity. You dress not to be seen, but because you've already seen yourself. You carry yourself with dignity, not for validation, but because you've already validated your identity internally. When your mind is rich, everything you touch becomes elegant, magnetic, and radiant, without effort, without pretension. So take time each day to dress your mind in greatness, in stillness, in excellence. Speak life over yourself. Declutter the mental wardrobe of scarcity and fear. Replace it with thoughts of elevation and possibility. Because when your mind wears wealth, your life will follow. The car, the house, the wardrobe, these are echoes, but the origin of wealth is always unseen. Start there. Start where no one can see. Because the truth is, once your mind is dressed in royalty, the world will start treating you like one. Surround yourself with environments that mirror your next level. You cannot become what you keep separating yourself from. If you want to embody the mindset and reality of someone who is super rich, you must begin by immersing yourself in environments that reflect the version of you that already has what you desire. Not for vanity, not for status, but because the spaces around you speak to your mind, and your mind speaks to your future. Environment is not just about the physical surroundings. It's about energy. It's about frequency. It's about what your senses absorb every day and how that shapes your beliefs about what's possible. If you live in chaos, if you breathe in scarcity, if you surround yourself with mediocrity, you begin to internalize limitation, even when you're trying to think big. Your imagination cannot thrive in an environment that contradicts the vision you hold inside. The super rich curate their world intentionally. They spend time in spaces that elevate their thinking. They walk into rooms that demand presence, elegance, and expansion. They eat in places where the energy is abundant, not desperate. They network where the conversations revolve around creation, not complaints. And this is not because they're chasing appearances. It's because they understand a deep, unspoken truth. You become what you normalize. So, what are you normalizing right now? Is your space designed to keep you comfortable, or is it stretching you? Are you surrounding yourself with people who feed your higher self, or are you tolerating energies that drain you? Every room you enter is either reinforcing the old you or introducing you to the next version. Choose carefully. Your environment is either watering your potential or drowning it. You don't need to have $1 million to step into luxury. You need to experience the energy of it. Walk into the luxury hotel lobby. Visit the gallery. Sit quietly in a high-end store. Attend events where wealth is not flaunted, but embodied. Let your nervous system adjust to the vibration of having more. Let your senses learn what wealth feels like, not to imitate, but to integrate. Even in your own home, create sacred space, clean the clutter, light the candle, organize the chaos, speak gratitude into your walls, place symbols around you that represent where you're heading, not where you've been. The rich don't wait for the future to feel abundant. They design abundance now with what they already have. Environment is energy, and energy doesn't lie. You can't fake elevation. You have to feel it. And when you begin to surround yourself with the vibration of wealth, you no longer question your worthiness. You see yourself reflected in the space around you, and that reflection becomes your new identity. So stop waiting until you make it to change your surroundings. Start now, one shift at a time. Rearrange your space like someone who honors their vision. Change your atmosphere like someone who takes their destiny seriously. Because where you spend your time, physically, emotionally, mentally, is shaping the blueprint of what you will receive. Let your presence feel expensive even when your pockets feel light. There is a richness that cannot be measured in dollars, A presence so complete, so confident, so self-contained that it feels like wealth, even in silence. The truly rich carry an energy that walks into a room before they do. It's not arrogance, it's not pride. It's the unmistakable stillness of someone who knows they are valuable with or without evidence. If you want to act like you're super rich, don't wait for your bank account to match the energy. Begin with your presence. Your presence is not your voice, your appearance, or your titles. It's what people feel when you show up. It's the non-verbal declaration of who you believe you are. Do you walk like you matter? Do you sit like your time is precious? Do you speak with the calm assurance of someone who doesn't need to explain themselves to be understood? The energy of expensive presence is not about being better than others. It's about being fully you, undiluted, undistracted, undeniably whole. Most people try to buy presents. They hope a new outfit, car, or gadget will make them feel more important. But that kind of confidence is temporary. It fades the moment someone questions it. True presence comes from knowing your value long before the world confirms it. It comes from living in alignment with your future, even when your present doesn't yet match it. You cultivate expensive presence by the way you carry yourself, by how slowly and deliberately you move, by the way you say no without guilt, by your refusal to be rushed, to be loud, to be desperate. You don't beg for attention. You don't chase validation. You simply are. Start paying attention to your posture, your tone, your eye contact, your breath. The wealthiest people breathe differently. They are not hurried because they don't operate from lack. They are not easily impressed because they are the impression. And you can become this too, not by copying, but by calibrating. Presence also shows up in silence. You don't always have to speak to be powerful. Learn to listen with depth. Learn to observe without reacting. Learn to hold space with grace. When your silence speaks louder than others' noise, you've entered the realm of energetic wealth. So even if your pockets are light, let your energy be heavy. Let your presence carry weight. Let people feel your future by the way you show up today. Stand tall in rooms where you used to shrink. Speak only when it serves. Move like someone who has nothing to prove and everything to protect, because that is how the rich operate. And when your presence begins to carry that same weight, the world has no choice but to respond with more. Never explain your worth. Broadcast it with silence and intention. The super rich do not negotiate their value through words. They don't spend energy trying to convince people of who they are or what they deserve. They don't explain themselves. They don't justify their presence. Their worth is not a debate, it's a fact, and they carry it with quiet certainty. This is the invisible difference between the person who hopes to be seen and the person who knows they're already undeniable. When you truly know your worth, you no longer feel the urge to prove it. Your actions, your choices, your boundaries, your standards, they speak for you. This is not about arrogance, it's about alignment. You are not hiding. You are simply refusing to dim yourself to meet someone else's understanding of your value. And when you carry that frequency, you magnetize everything that belongs to you. In a world addicted to noise, silence is powerful. The richest individuals speak less, but they say more. They pause before responding. They look you in the eye, not with intensity, but with presence. They don't over-explain. They don't defend. They let their standards, their results, their life speak for itself. This is what makes them magnetic. Now ask yourself, how much energy are you spending trying to be understood? How often are you shrinking your light so you don't make others uncomfortable? How many times have you said yes when your spirit screamed no because you didn't want to be judged? These small acts of self-abandonment are expensive, and no amount of external wealth will make up for the internal cost of living beneath your value. You don't need to announce your power. You don't need to defend your vision. You don't need to justify your choices. What you need is alignment. When your inner truth and outer expression match, you become undeniable. And people feel that. They respond to it. They begin to treat you according to the frequency you set, not the words you speak. So the next time you're tempted to explain why you're worthy, pause. Choose silence. Let your decisions do the talking. Let your life become your loudest statement. Because the moment you stop seeking approval, you make room for respect. Your energy must declare what your words never have to. That's how you walk like someone who is already rich. You were never meant to wait for the money to feel like wealth. You were never asked to have the evidence before you stepped into the energy. The universe was always listening, not to your wishes, but to your embodiment. And now, in this moment, you are being invited not to chase wealth, but to become it. Act like it's already yours, because it is. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to force it. You only have to feel it deeply enough, consistently enough, boldly enough, that the entire structure of reality begins to bend in your direction. Every room you walk into begins to feel different. Every conversation starts to shift. People start looking at you not because of what you say, but because of what you carry. Master calm certainty. Make powerful choices. Guard your time, your attention, and your peace. Elevate your surroundings. Dress your mind in royalty before your body. Enter rooms like they belong to you. And most importantly, stop explaining. Just be. And once you do, the universe doesn't hesitate. It delivers rapidly, relentlessly, fully to the one who dared to act as if it was already done. So act like you're super rich. I will teach you how to feel it. Not in theory, not in vague concepts, but in the language the universe understands, the language of feeling. For nothing moves in your life until it is first moved in your imagination, and nothing becomes real until it is first felt. This is not about pretending, it is not about empty affirmations, repeated with no heart behind them. It is about embodying the state of the wish fulfilled so completely that the world has no choice but to rearrange itself around your inner conviction. You may have been taught that life responds to effort, to struggle, to hustle, but the truth is far more beautiful, far more radical. Life responds to your inner assumption. The world mirrors not what you want, but what you are conscious of being. So if you wish to experience love, you must feel yourself to be loved. If you wish to experience wealth, you must feel yourself to be wealthy. You do not wait for the world to give you evidence. You become the evidence within, and the world obeys. Let me take you deeper. Think now of something you desire, not something far off, not something abstract, something real, something you ache for in the silence of the night. A home, a partner, freedom, success. Now stop trying to get it. That very effort to get, to grasp, is a confession that you do not have, and the law is exact. You receive not what you long for, but what you already are within. So what do? You close your eyes, you go within, and you construct a scene, not of the desire coming to you, but of you already having it. You hear the words someone would say if it were true. You feel their hand in yours. You hear the laughter. You sense the atmosphere. And then you feel. You allow the emotion of that reality to rise within you. Not a forced feeling, but a surrendered one. You let it rise, like heat in your chest, like light behind your eyes. This is not imagination for fantasy, this is imagination for creation. This is not daydreaming, this is sowing seeds in the field of consciousness. What you feel now, deeply and persistently, becomes the shape of your tomorrows. The inner experience must become more real to you than the outer world. The outer is only ever a shadow, a reflection. The inner is the cause. You are not trying to convince the world, you are not even trying to convince yourself. You are stepping into the knowing that your desire is already yours, and the way you know it is by how it feels. The feeling is the secret. The feeling is the prayer. The feeling is the bridge between worlds. When you feel yourself to be the man who already owns the company, the woman who is already deeply loved, the soul who is already free, then you are no longer seeking. You are being. And being is power. Being is creation. Being is destiny shaped by the hands of imagination. So when doubts come, as they will, you do not argue. You return. You return to the scene. You return to the embrace. You return to the applause. You return to the warmth in your chest and the joy in your breath. You dwell there, not once, not casually, but until that state becomes your dwelling place, until it is natural, until it feels like home. Do not measure by time. Do not wait for signs. Do not check the mirror of the world too soon. For the seed planted in feeling grows in silence. It works while you sleep. It moves while you rest. Your only task is to remain faithful, not to what is, but to what is felt as already true. You don't need to ask how it will happen. You don't need to figure out the steps. That's not your job. Your job is to feel the end, to taste it in your imagination and walk through your day as if it were already done. Because when you feel it, when you truly feel it, it is already finished. Feeling is the foundation of manifestation, and until you truly grasp this, you may continue to live a life of trying, hoping, and waiting rather than creating, becoming, and living. Everything begins in the invisible realm of consciousness. You do not change your world by force or by struggle. You change it by feeling differently within. This feeling is not some vague emotion. It is the quiet inner conviction, the deep sense of this is already mine, that settles into your soul and becomes your new state of being. You are not trying to make something happen. You are resting in the knowing that it already has. That rest, that inner acceptance, is the mark of true belief. And belief is nothing more than sustained feeling. The mistake many make is trying to manifest from a place of emptiness. They look at their current reality, see what is missing, and attempt to speak positive words while still feeling lack. But the universe doesn't respond to words alone. It responds to vibration, to atmosphere, to inner truth. You can say you are rich, but if your feeling says you are poor, then poverty is what will persist. You can say you are loved, but if deep inside you feel alone, unloved, and unworthy, then your world will reflect that feeling back to you over and over again. The feeling is the seed. The outer world is the fruit. You are always manifesting. Even now, in this very moment, you are projecting a feeling into the world, and that feeling is summoning its own reflection. Whether you are aware of it or not, your life is a mirror of what you chronically feel. Your job is not to try harder. Your job is not to hustle more. Your job is to change the feeling within you. And when the feeling changes, the world cannot remain the same. Because the world is not fixed. It is fluid, pliable, ever-shifting, and it is obedient to your inner world. Most people ask, how do I get the thing I want? But that is the wrong question. The real question is, how do I feel myself to already have it? The former places you in the position of lack, chasing after something. The latter places you in alignment with the thing already existing in your reality. This is the secret. You do not feel for the thing, you feel from it. You do not stand outside of it and hope to attract it. You step into it as though it were already yours. And the moment you feel it as real, it begins to take form. The world has no choice but to match your assumption. Feeling is not only the seed of change, it is the evidence of faith. You may not see the physical change yet, but when you can feel the result as already yours, you know it's done. And this knowing changes everything. It alters how you walk through the day. It shifts your tone when you speak. It colors your thoughts and softens your reactions. Because you are no longer trying to get something, you are being it. You're not pretending. You're not acting. You are dwelling in the experience as though it were fact. But it's not always easy, is it? Because the world is loud. It constantly screams at you about what is. It tries to trap you in appearances, in statistics, in logic. But manifestation is not logical. It is spiritual. It is governed by laws deeper than the mind can fully grasp. The outer is only an echo, a delay, a shell. The real power is inside you. It always has been. The power to create, to transform, to command your world lies in the simple act of feeling a new state to be real, not for a moment, not once or twice, but until it becomes natural. It's like wearing a new garment. At first it may feel unfamiliar. You may still feel like the old version of you, but as you continue to wear it, as you continue to feel it, it starts to become second nature. And soon the world forgets who you were and only recognizes who you've become. But the transformation began the moment you accepted the feeling, the moment you decided that this new reality, though invisible, was now yours. Many think feeling is just a reaction to something, that you must see something first to feel it. But the opposite is true. You must feel it first in order to see it. If you wait for the world to give you permission to feel wealthy, you will wait forever. If you wait for someone to love you before you feel lovable, you will wander from heart to heart without peace. You must generate the feeling from within. You must become the cause. Think of it like music. You don't wait for the dance floor to fill up before you move. You let the music carry you, and as you move, others join in. The rhythm begins in your soul. The movement starts in your imagination, and the world responds. It always does. So stop checking your outer world for signs. Stop measuring your progress by what others see. Start trusting the feeling. Start living from the state of the wish fulfilled, and watch as everything around you shifts into harmony with it. It may feel strange at first. You may say to yourself, but nothing's changed. And that's the moment you must decide whether you trust the feeling more than the facts. Because the facts are old news. They are just the shadow of yesterday's feelings. If you want a new world, you must feel a new state now, today, not tomorrow, not when things look better. Now. Right here where you are, regardless of appearances. This is where the power lies, in choosing to feel truth before it is seen, in letting your inner world become more real than anything the eyes can detect. And when you do that, when you live in that feeling long enough, consistently enough, it becomes your reality, not by chance, not by luck, but by law. You are always becoming what you feel. Every moment you live from a state, you are giving life to it. Every time you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you water that seed. And one day, without even realizing how, you look around and discover you're living the very thing you once only dared to feel. Assume the state of the wish fulfilled, and you will no longer chase after life, you will command it. The moment you assume something to be true in your inner world, even if the outer contradicts it completely, you step into the creative position of power. Assumption is not passive. It is not wishful thinking. It is an inner decision, a quiet but unshakable knowing that what you desire is already yours. This assumption becomes the soil in which reality must grow, for everything in your world is born from what you consent to feel as real. To assume is to wear the identity of the person who already has the thing you seek. If you desire success, you don't wait until the world calls you successful. You feel it now. You think as that version of yourself. You walk, speak, and rest in that state, as though it were fact. It is not delusion, it is divine creation. It is aligning your consciousness with the truth you wish to live. For the outer world is not the source of truth, it is a projection. It is molded by the inner realm, and assumption is the hand that shapes the clay. When you assume the state of the wish fulfilled, you change your inner atmosphere. You send out a different frequency, and that frequency begins to summon circumstances, people, and events that reflect your new state. It's as if life starts conspiring to prove your assumption correct because it has no choice. It is bound by the laws of consciousness, and consciousness creates reality not by effort, but by assumption. The moment you shift your identity from a person who wants to a person who already has, the story changes. Many live as if they are on trial, waiting for evidence, for proof, before they believe. But that is backward. You must believe before the evidence appears. You must act as if it's already yours before you see even a flicker of change. Because the seeing follows the believing, not the other way around. The world outside of you is nothing more than a delayed mirror of what you've been assuming in the silence. So when you take on a new assumption, not just with words, but with feeling, with inner conviction, you alter what that mirror will reflect. You've been taught to react, to respond to what is, but assumption teaches you to initiate, to feel before there's a reason to believe in the invisible and walk in the unseen. And that kind of faith bends reality. It forces the unseen to become seen because it is rooted in spiritual law. What you are conscious of being determines what you will experience. It does not matter how long you've lived without it. It does not matter what anyone says about what's possible. The only thing that matters is the state you dwell in, because that state will harden into fact. Assuming the state of the wish fulfilled is not pretending. It's not acting for an audience. It's not putting on a mask. It's a deep inner shift, a return to your true nature as a creator. It's stepping into the role of author, no longer a character hoping for change, but the one writing the next chapter with authority and purpose. You begin to move through life, not with desperation, but with certainty, not with anxiety, but with calm confidence, because you know you already possess what matters most, the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This assumption must be lived in. It must be nurtured and revisited until it becomes your dwelling place. You do not assume once and then forget. You do not dip your toe into the new state and then retreat when doubts come. You must remain faithful to it. The same way you would remain faithful to a place you call home. You keep returning to it, no matter how far your mind may wander. Because assumption is not a technique, it's a way of life. It's a decision to feel yourself to be different, and to persist in that feeling no matter what the world shouts back at you. It is in the silence, in the moments when no one else is watching, that your assumption takes root. You rehearse the inner conversation, you feel the embrace, you sense the success, you dwell in the end as if it were already now. You do this not to escape reality, but to create it. The more you visit the state of your fulfilled desire, the more familiar it becomes. And soon it no longer feels like imagination, it feels like memory. And that is the key. When your wish feels like something you are remembering instead of hoping for, the shift has occurred. Assumption demands that you give up the identity of the one who lacks. It demands you release the story of why it hasn't happened yet. You let go of the old self, the one who tries, begs, and waits, and you put on the new self. And this new self isn't found through logic or proof. It is found in the decision to feel as if the thing were already done. And in that feeling you rise, you awaken, you step into alignment with your highest truth. The world may not change in an instant, but your world changes the moment you assume. The current may still show signs of the old state, but those signs are echoes, fading, dissolving. The new must come, for it is law, and that law is governed by what you are now assuming to be true. So hold the new state as sacred. Return to it often. Feel it with depth, with gratitude, with joy. Not because it isn't real, but because, and it's your responsibility to keep the door open for it through your persistent assumption. You must be bold, bold enough to feel rich when the bank is empty, bold enough to feel loved when the room is silent, bold enough to feel healed when the body aches. That boldness is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is creation from within, where all true creation begins. You are not deceiving yourself, you are revealing your power. You are not ignoring reality, you are rewriting it from the source. That is what assumption does. It cuts through appearances and connects you with the truth that your desires are not outside of you. They are within, waiting for you to live them in feeling. And when you do, when you persist in this new identity long enough, the world bends, the path opens, the people come, the circumstances align, not because you forced them to, but because you felt them to. You became one with the result before it arrived. And so it had to arrive, it had to become flesh. For assumption, once felt deeply and held faithfully, must always manifest in form. That is the law. Imagination is not a place of fantasy. It is the divine workshop of creation. It is the sacred realm where the unseen takes form, where the blueprint of every desire is drawn, shaped, and breathed into life. Most people treat imagination like a fleeting daydream, something to be entertained but not trusted. But those who understand the power hidden within it know that imagination is not play, it is purpose. It is the creative force through which life itself is reshaped. Everything that now exists was once only imagined. Every building, every business, every breakthrough, each began as a silent image in someone's mind. And you too hold that same creative tool within you. When you imagine something vividly and feel it as real, you are doing far more than entertaining a nice thought. You are planting a seed in the soil of consciousness. You are initiating a change in the unseen world that with persistence will echo into the physical. The subconscious mind does not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined with conviction. It simply responds to the feeling of the idea. And the moment your imagination creates an experience that feels real to you, the subconscious receives it as truth and begins to organize your life to match it. Imagination is your inner sanctuary, your private temple where no one else can enter, and yet it governs everything in your external world. It is within this space that you can build your destiny with precision. You do not need to wait for permission. You do not need to ask anyone to join you. You can go there now. You can close your eyes and craft the moment, the scene, the dialogue, the emotion. You can feel the warm air of a new country. You can hear the voice of someone congratulating you. You can smell the pages of the book you've written or feel the texture of the fabric in your dream home. And all of it, every detail, if felt deeply, will begin to move the invisible currents of reality in your favor. This power is not reserved for a few. It is yours. It has always been yours. You were born with the capacity to imagine, but you must now use it deliberately. You must stop using imagination to rehearse worry, to repeat failures, to relieve pain. You must stop imagining the worst and expecting the best. Because your imagination, like fertile soil, will grow whatever seed you plant. It does not judge, it does not question, it simply creates. So be mindful, be intentional, build your inner world with care. The act of imagining must be more than mental images. It must involve emotion. Feeling is the force that gives imagination its creative power. When you visualize something but feel nothing, you are painting without color. You are building without foundation. But when your imagination becomes vivid, when the sounds and textures and emotions come alive within you, The line between what is and what is imagined begins to blur, and that is the point where change happens. When your inner experience becomes more compelling than your current reality, the current reality must yield. Imagination is not idle. It is not a distraction. It is the birthplace of miracles. It is through imagination that you assume new states of being, new identities, new lives. And the beautiful truth is that you can visit this realm at any time. You can choose in any moment to close the door to the world and open the door to possibility. There, in the silence, you can create. You can rewrite your past, rehearse your future, and step into the version of yourself that you long to be. Not tomorrow, not in a distant future, now. Because time is irrelevant in imagination. The future exists now in the seed of a thought, and the more you return to it, the more it grows. There is no limitation in imagination. You are not bound by your current circumstances, your past, or your fears. In this space, you are free, you are infinite, you are divine. And that is not poetic, it is law. For what you consistently imagine and feel will become the world around you. It is not magic, it is not wishful thinking. It is creation, pure and simple. You are always imagining something. The only question is, are you imagining what you want or what you fear? To use imagination effectively, you must begin to treat it with reverence. No more casual wandering, no more allowing your mind to dwell in what you hate. If your world is a reflection of what you hold in mind with feeling, then let your imagination become sacred. Let it become the place where you walk with purpose. Speak only what you desire and feel only what you wish to experience. Do not wait for evidence. Do not ask whether it is working. Trust the process. Imagination combined with feeling is the womb of reality. Once you've conceived it there, the outer world is merely catching up. Some might argue, but I imagined once and nothing changed. That is because imagination is not a one-time act. It is a state to dwell in, not visit occasionally. If you visit wealth in imagination but live most of your day in fear of lack, the dominant state will win. If you imagine love for a few minutes but feel lonely for hours, the loneliness will be louder. You must learn to return often to the inner world, to make it your home. You must practice it until it becomes effortless, until the imagined becomes familiar, until it feels like memory rather than desire. The more you live from this space, the less reactive you become to the outer world, because you understand that reality is not happening to you, it is flowing from you. It is responding to the images you hold and the feelings you nurture. And when you master your imagination, you master life. You begin to anticipate joy before it arrives. You begin to walk in abundance before it shows up. You begin to feel whole before healing has manifested. And in doing so, you become the architect of your future. The world will call it coincidence. They'll say you were lucky. But you'll know. You'll know that every breakthrough, every unexpected blessing, every miraculous shift was first crafted in the silence of your soul. You'll know that before it ever appeared, you lived it, felt it, walked in it, within. You will understand the profound secret that the world is clay, and imagination is the hand that molds it. And once that realization settles in your heart, you will never again underestimate the power of a single imagined moment, because you will know that what you imagine with feeling today becomes the life you live tomorrow. Persistence in the assumption is the secret few understand and even fewer practice. It is easy to imagine something once and feel inspired in the moment, but the real power lies in returning to that feeling again and again, especially when nothing outside of you seems to agree with it. This is where most people falter. They assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled once or twice, perhaps during a quiet meditation or a late night walk. And then when life continues to reflect the old reality, they give up. They decide it didn't work. But manifestation is not a game of trial. It is a matter of faith, and faith is proven through persistence. The world you see today is not the result of one thought or one emotion. It is the cumulative expression of what you have persistently felt and assumed to be true. Your assumption must become your home, not a hotel you visit now and then, but the place where you dwell. You live there, think from there, speak from there, and make decisions from that place. Even when circumstances scream the opposite, you must remain rooted in the truth of your inner world. That is what persistence looks like. It's not about struggle or forcing the universe. It is about silently and faithfully abiding in the feeling that your desire is already fulfilled. The outer world may try to shake you, delay you, distract you, but your job is to stay in the state. That is the only work that matters. Persistence is not repetition. It's not saying the same words over and over. It's not constantly visualizing to force something into being. It is the quiet, confident return to the feeling. When doubt whispers that nothing has changed, you smile, not in denial, but in remembrance of the truth you have already chosen. You remind yourself that what you feel as real will become real, and no evidence to the contrary can break that law. The feeling you nurture is far more powerful than any condition around you. The outer world is a servant to the inner, and the inner bends only to sustain belief. You must be willing to walk by inner vision, not outer sight. Because in the early stages of creation, the world will not look different. It might even look worse. That's the test, not of whether the law works, but of whether you will continue to stand in your chosen state. Will you keep feeling successful when your bank account says otherwise? Will you keep feeling love when no one is calling? Will you keep feeling healed when the symptoms are still present? These are the moments that define the Creator, because creation does not begin on the surface. It begins in the silence. Persistence rewires the mind. The first time you assume a new state, your old beliefs will resist. They've been with you for years, decades. But the more you return to the new state, the more it becomes familiar. The old beliefs begin to dissolve, not by force, but by neglect. They lose their power because you no longer feed them. You no longer feed them, you are too busy nurturing the new. And what you feed grows, what you ignore withers. This is not mystical language, it is how the mind works. What you focus on becomes your dominant vibration, and your dominant vibration becomes your experience. There will be days when the feeling is easy and natural, and there will be days when the world seems determined to pull you back into the old self. This is where persistence becomes sacred, not because you are proving something to anyone, but because you are honoring the truth you've chosen to live by. You are walking in the unseen, and that walk shapes the visible. If you only assume when things feel good, your results will be unstable. But when you assume consistently, regardless of conditions, you will see change that feels like magic, but is really law in motion. You don't need to do this perfectly. You don't need to never doubt again. But you do need to return. Return to the feeling, return to the scene, return to the end. Not in fear, not in panic, but in confidence, in peace, in knowing that every time you feel from the end, you are building a bridge from the unseen to the seen. That bridge may not appear immediately, but it is being built. With every repetition, every quiet inner conviction, every moment of feeling it is done, you are placing the bricks of your new world. You may look at others and wonder why things happen quickly for them, or why your desire seems to take time. But the law is not selective, it is impartial. The difference lies only in persistence. Those who seem to manifest effortlessly are often those who've mastered the art of consistent assumption. They do not question it, they do not waver, they decide, they feel, and they remain. And eventually the world bends to meet them, not because they are better, more worthy, or lucky, but because they dared to persist. When you feel like giving up, remember that your outer world is always behind your inner world. What you see today is the echo of what you felt yesterday. So if you want tomorrow to look different, feel different now. Begin now, return now. This is how transformation happens, not in one grand moment of inspiration, but in the quiet, sacred persistence of one who knows the truth. The truth that nothing can stay the same when the inner state changes. You are not begging for a miracle. You are not trying to convince the world. You are simply remaining faithful to the life you have already claimed in feeling. You are not waiting, you are living it within. That is the essence of persistence. Not loud, not dramatic, but steady, faithful, grounded. A decision repeated in silence, a feeling held like a flame in the dark, a truth lived before it is seen. And in time, the outer must mirror the inner. It must take shape, not because you demanded it, but because you never let go. You are not here to figure out how. That has never been your job. The mechanics of manifestation do not require your manipulation. Your only responsibility is to feel the end, to live in the state of the wish fulfilled with such conviction that the outcome becomes inevitable. The moment you step into that inner experience and surrender the urge to control the process, you activate forces beyond your understanding, forces that are precise, intelligent, and far more capable than the rational mind. When you feel something as already true and let go of the need to know how it will come, you are aligning yourself with a universal law that never fails. The obsession with the how is what delays so many manifestations. People feel the desire but immediately follow it with questions, doubts, and logical barriers. How could this happen? Who will bring it? What steps must I take? These questions, though they seem natural, are born from mistrust. They imply that you are not sure the universe knows what it's doing. They reveal a hidden belief that unless you control every step, nothing will change. But the truth is, control is an illusion. The more you try to force the outcome, the more resistance you create. Manifestation is not about effort. It is about alignment. And alignment is born from surrender. Surrender to the unseen, the infinite intelligence that responds not to effort but to feeling. When you feel it is done, you step out of the state of lack. You no longer ask, you no longer wish, you embody. That embodiment is what sends the clearest signal to the universe. Not words, not frantic energy, but still, powerful feeling. The kind of feeling that knows it's already done. This isn't arrogance. This isn't fantasy. This is truth remembered. Every time you return to the state of the wish fulfilled and let go of how it's going to happen, you make space for the universe to move in ways you could never orchestrate on your own. There is something profoundly humbling about realizing that your mind, as sharp as it may be, is limited. It cannot see all angles. It cannot predict all outcomes. And yet, there is something in you that does know. Something that works in silence, behind the scenes, drawing the right people, timing the right events, placing the right pieces together. Your task is to trust it. To trust that when you feel something deeply, consistently, and without contradiction, life has no choice but to reflect it. The pieces begin to move not because you pushed them, but because your feeling called them into place. Letting go of the how is not giving up. It is stepping into deeper faith. It is saying, I know what I want. I feel it as mine, and I trust that it will find me in the right way at the right time. That trust opens doors you didn't know existed. It dissolves resistance. It creates room for miracles. Not miracles in the sense of something unnatural, but miracles in the sense that you didn't have to make it happen. It happened through you because you allowed it. You surrendered the need to control, and in doing so, invited the divine to work on your behalf. The more you try to control, the more you reveal that you don't believe. Because true belief requires no backup plan. True belief is content with silence, with stillness, with space. It does not rush, it does not panic, it does not search, it rests. And in that rest, creation is born. There's a quiet power in those who can say, I don't know how, but I know it's coming. That knowing creates a magnetic field that draws the fulfillment toward you. Not slowly, not randomly, but precisely, perfectly. You've already experienced moments where things just seem to fall into place, where one thing led to another in a way you couldn't have planned. That's not coincidence. That's what happens when you get out of the way, when you stop interfering with the process and start trusting the process. The universe does not need your instructions. It only needs your clarity. And clarity comes from feeling. Once you've felt something as true, your work is done. Everything else is movement. Everything else is unfolding. It will happen not because you chased it, but because you became it. There is a moment in every life, quiet and unannounced, when something within whispers a sacred truth, not loudly but surely. It says, you are more than what the world has told you. You are carrying a secret power the universe placed within you. And if you are still, if you are bold enough to believe, that whisper becomes a roar. You must begin to act as if the universe, in all its infinite intelligence and unmeasurable grace, has chosen you for something extraordinary, not in arrogance but in certainty. Not to dominate, but to become. And the only proof required is how you carry yourself from this moment forward. The posture of your soul will tell the story. What if everything you ever wanted, love, success, healing, confidence, clarity, peace, what if all of it was already coded within you, waiting for your permission to awaken? What if the delay was not in time, but in belief? What if the secret wasn't to do more, chase more, beg more, but to act as if you already have access to it? Imagine walking into a room and knowing the energy bends to your state of being, not because you are louder, but because your inner world commands the outer. The universe doesn't respond to need, it responds to certainty. So when you begin to act as if you possess the secret power, when your steps reflect purpose, when your speech reflects confidence, when your energy reflects wholeness, the world shifts to meet you. You were not born to be a beggar of destiny. You were born to be a co-creator with it. You were born to assume the power the universe secretly placed in you. This power is not external. It is not in the opinions of others, nor in circumstances. It is not in credentials, applause, or even opportunity. This power was breathed into you the moment you dared to imagine yourself becoming more. This is why you must act, not react. You must carry yourself with the knowledge that the invisible is shaping the visible through the force of your assumption. And when you assume this secret power is yours, when you walk in it, speak from it, breathe through it, the things you desire no longer remain distant. They begin to orbit your world like planets drawn to gravity. You are not here to wait for proof, you are here to be the proof. If you want love, act as if you're already loving and loved. If you want wealth, act as if abundance flows through your every move. If you seek peace, act as if your soul is already still. That is the secret power, to live from the end, from the reality not yet seen, but deeply felt. And what happens next is not magic, it's law. The seen must bow to the unseen. The conditions of your life must mirror the consciousness you hold. So if you are still waiting, perhaps it is not the world that is delayed. Perhaps it is you who is delaying the decision to act. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop needing permission to become who you were always meant to be. Begin to live as though your thoughts matter, because they do. Begin to speak as though your words create, because they are. Begin to move as if your presence shapes reality, because it does. When you act as if the universe gave you secret power, you stop asking for signs. You become the sign. You stop needing doors to open. You become the doorway. You stop seeking validation. You become the voice of certainty others have been waiting to hear. You are not small. You are not ordinary. You are not forgotten. You are the very evidence that the universe is alive and personal and endlessly creative. And if you will only act in alignment with that truth, not someday, not tomorrow, not once you're ready, but now, the world will echo that power back to you in ways you cannot yet imagine. Act as if the secret is already yours, and the universe will reveal what it has been waiting to give you all along. There is a moment in every conscious awakening when a person realizes that their assumptions are not passive thoughts drifting in the wind, but creative forces shaping the world around them. This is the beginning of true transformation. The universe, in its infinite mystery and design, has structured existence in a way that honors what you dare to assume about yourself and your place in the world. It is not waiting for effort, nor is it moved by struggle or fear. What activates the hidden machinery behind reality is the quality of your assumption. The belief you hold, not just with your mind, but with your inner knowing, is the switch that turns possibility into form. People often wait for external evidence to validate their desires. They wait to feel rich before acting wealthy, wait to be loved before acting lovable, wait to be healed before feeling whole. But the secret power of the universe does not operate in such a linear fashion. It does not reward waiting. It rewards assuming. Your assumption is the signal. It is the declaration that says, I have received what I asked for. I am the one I once longed to become. And in that state, creation begins. This assumption is not empty fantasy. It is the deliberate choice to dwell in a version of reality that is not yet visible to others, but fully alive within you. It is a bold act of faith to walk as if the path is clear, even when your senses see obstacles. It is an act of sacred rebellion to act as if you are already chosen, favored, empowered, and destined, especially when your current world seems to say otherwise. And yet, this is precisely the secret known by those who reshape their lives. They understand that assumption is not just belief. It is embodiment. To assume is to inhabit. It is to occupy mentally and emotionally the state of being that aligns with your desire fulfilled. When you assume you are powerful, you begin to think, speak, and move differently. Not in arrogance, but in alignment. Your actions flow from the place of inner certainty, not external persuasion. And because your world is a mirror, it begins to reflect back this new version of you. The power in assumption lies in its simplicity. You do not need rituals, techniques, or long hours of work. You need only to be the person who already possesses what you seek. Ask yourself, if I truly had this power, how would I move through the world? How would I carry myself? How would I think when I woke up each morning? And then, without needing confirmation, begin to live from those answers. The moment you assume the role, the universe begins to support your performance. So many people believe their lives will change once conditions change. But conditions are not the cause, they are the result. The root lies in consciousness. Your present assumption about yourself is the seed from which your entire reality grows. Change the seed and you change the tree. Change the tree and you change the fruit. There is no other way. This is the divine law hidden in plain sight. You must understand, the universe does not require time to deliver. It requires alignment. The moment you assume the power is yours, the moment you believe it without needing proof, you create a magnetic field that draws the equivalent into your world. People, events, opportunities, these things do not come because you chase them. You may say, but I don't feel powerful. My life shows no sign of this secret force. That is where the lie lives. Feeling follows assumption, not the other way around. You must begin with the inner decision, not the external evidence. The universe does not ask you to feel powerful because you've won. It asks you to feel powerful as if you've already won. That is the test, and that is the doorway. There is something astonishing that happens when you stop treating your assumptions as guesses and start treating them as decrees. You move from wishing to creating. You stop negotiating with reality and begin shaping it. And soon, the world around you becomes unrecognizable. Not because it changed first, but because you change your center. You turned the key inward and unlocked a dimension where all things were always possible. Every great transformation in human history began with someone who dared to assume something greater about themselves, whether it was the assumption of freedom, of healing, of destiny, or of purpose. It was the act of assuming that activated the path. Not a single one of them waited to be validated by the world. They acted as if the universe whispered to them alone, "You have power. Use it." And so must you. Your current reality is not a prison. It is a projection. It is the outer shadow of your innermost beliefs. And you, as the dreamer, have the authority to shift that dream. Do not wait to see it before you believe it. Believe it so deeply that the world has no choice but to reflect it back. That is how assumption becomes transformation. When you walk into a room and carry yourself as someone chosen by the universe, people feel it. Not because you are loud, but because your energy speaks. Not because you demand respect, but because your self-respect becomes undeniable. That energy begins within. It is born the moment you say, "This is who I am now," and mean it with every fiber of your being. No one will give you this permission. No voice from heaven will announce it. It is you who must grant it to yourself. And the moment you do, you align with forces greater than logic, greater than history, greater than circumstances. You align with the infinite. You become the embodiment of the unseen power that shapes destinies. And when you do, the world bows, not to your ego, but to your alignment, because your assumption has become your truth, and your truth has become your world. Your entire world, everything you see, touch, and experience, is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state. It is a mirror, exact and unwavering, that responds not to what you wish for, but to what you are being internally. The universe does not contradict the story you tell yourself about who you are. It does not debate with your insecurities, your doubts, or your fears. It simply reflects them. And in the same manner, when you dare to change your inner conversation, when you begin to live from the idea that you are powerful, worthy, abundant, chosen, the mirror responds again. Not slowly, not hesitantly, but with precision and obedience. People often look out into the world and complain about their conditions. They say life is unfair, the timing is wrong, the world is hard. But what they fail to realize is that life is only reflecting the exact frequency of their dominant state. If you wake up in the energy of limitation, if you go through your day in the energy of lack, if your conversations, even with yourself, revolve around what you do not have or what you are still waiting for, the world will reflect that story back to you again and again. It's not punishment. It's not cruelty, it's law. This is why change must begin from within, not from action first, but from assumption. You cannot pretend to be powerless within and expect to create powerful results. You cannot carry the energy of fear and hope for peace. The world has no choice but to mirror the state you most consistently embody. And this is the great secret many overlook. If you want a new world, you must first become a new self. To shift your outer reality, you must first shift your inner identity. And this identity is not changed by circumstances, but by consciousness. It is a choice, a decision. It is the inner knowing that you are not your past, not your environment, not your failures, not your trauma, not even your current results. You are what you believe you are. And the moment you assume a higher version of yourself, the outer world begins to reconfigure itself to match the new blueprint. It's a strange thing to realize that what you used to chase was always chasing you. It was simply waiting for you to step into the self that could receive it. Because everything you want already exists. It is already prepared, already set into motion. But it cannot reach you while you are vibrating in contradiction to it. The reality you want cannot enter into a life built upon opposing beliefs. That's why the mirror it waits for your alignment. It waits for you to decide who you are and then lives up to that image. There is no outer solution to an inner misalignment. No amount of hustle or struggle can compensate for a state of being that screams lack, fear, or desperation. You might get temporary results, but they will be fleeting. Because the true nature of the universe is to bring you what you are, not what you do. What you feel consistently, what you embody with conviction. That is the magnet, that is the invitation. You do not manifest what you want, you manifest what you are. So if your world looks dim, if your life feels like a cycle of repetition and stagnation, pause and ask yourself, not what am I doing wrong, but what am I being right now? What identity am I reinforcing every day through my thoughts, my emotions, my assumptions? Because your answer will explain your reality more than anything else. And when you begin to change that inner narrative, when you decide, even without evidence, that you are now the one who is confident, loved, abundant, secure, the world must eventually catch up. Not because you forced it, but because you no longer contradict it. You have become the version of yourself who belongs to the outcome. You are no longer outside of it, you are it. And the mirror, as it always does, shows you exactly what you believe you deserve. This is the invisible turning point of all transformation. The moment you stop reacting to the outer world and start shaping it from within. When you stop waiting and begin being. When you stop trying to fix the mirror and instead transform the face that looks into it. And as you do, the reflection softens, brightens, evolves. Not because the mirror changed, but because you do. You must become ruthless with the thoughts you entertain. You must guard your inner atmosphere as if your life depends on it, because it does. Every thought you dwell upon, every feeling you indulge, every story you rehearse is a brushstroke on the canvas of your world. If you continue painting chaos within, you cannot expect peace without. If you tell yourself stories of rejection, betrayal, failure, and fear, then do not be surprised when those things appear in your life like loyal servants answering the call. But the moment you choose to see yourself differently, to feel differently, to walk differently, even before anything outside you changes, the mirror begins to respond. The timing may vary, but the law never fails. Your inner state must eventually be expressed in your outer world. It has no other choice. And so the work is not to chase, not to beg, not to wait. The work is to become. To sit still and remember who you truly are. To align yourself with the version of you that the universe has already seen, already accepted, already loved into existence. That version exists now, not later, not after, not someday. And your job is to claim it with your entire being, until nothing in the outer world can convince you otherwise. Because when you live from that inner place, when you move as if the secret power is already active in your life, when your assumptions match your desires and your desires match your identity, the world begins to respond in ways that will seem miraculous to others, but to you, it will feel like home, because the mirror is not broken. It's perfect. It is only waiting for you to recognize your own reflection and finally see the power you were always meant to carry. To align yourself with the invisible, you must act not from what is, but from what is becoming. You must walk not according to what your eyes can see, but according to what your spirit has already accepted as true. This is where faithful action becomes the key. Not frantic action, not desperate effort, not blind reaction, but action that flows from a deep inner certainty that something greater is already at work in your favor. Faithful action is not about doing more. It is about doing differently. It is about acting from the assumption that you have already received what you asked for, even when there is no external evidence to support it. It is movement that reflects inner alignment rather than outer approval. There is a vast difference between action born from fear and action born from faith. The former is driven by lack, by anxiety, by the fear that if you do not act now, everything will fall apart. It is restless, exhausting, and hollow. But action born from faith is calm, deliberate, and powerful. It carries a different energy. It does not ask the world for permission. It does not seek signs. It creates them. Faithful action assumes the invisible is already taking shape, and every step becomes an affirmation of that belief. When you begin to act in alignment with your inner truths, when your decisions reflect not your current reality but the one you've chosen in your imagination, you begin to sync with something far more intelligent than circumstance. You enter into a rhythm, a divine current, that moves people, situations, and opportunities toward you with precision. And because your action is faithful, it opens the path for manifestation without resistance. You are no longer blocking the flow with doubt or hesitation. You are moving in agreement with the unseen. Many people delay their breakthrough because they wait to feel ready. They wait until conditions improve, until things are more stable, until someone else validates them. But the universe does not move based on your comfort. It moves based on your belief. Faithful action is a statement. I no longer need the world to tell me what's possible. I already know. It is a declaration that says, I will not wait for reality to change. I will change first. And this change begins within. Before you make a move, you must become still. You must decide who you are, and then act from that decision. Not who you were yesterday, not who the world says you are, but who you know yourself to be when you remove all fear. That version of you already lives in your imagination, and when you act from that place, you collapse the gap between the seen and the unseen. Faithful action is not loud. It is not theatrical. It does not beg for attention. It does not scream to be noticed. But it is undeniable. It carries weight. It carries power. It shifts atmospheres because it is rooted in truth. When someone acts with faith, you feel it. You may not understand it, but you sense something solid, unshakable, radiant. That is the energy of someone who has decided to live from the unseen and let the seen catch up. You must become familiar with this inner world if you want to see outer results. You must know the feeling of walking in alignment with something only you can sense. You must become comfortable being misunderstood, overlooked, or doubted. Because the faithful do not act for applause. They act because they already know. They act because the inner conviction is so real, so alive, so absolute, that it leaves no room for compromise. Every great story of transformation begins with someone who dared to move before the door was opened. They knocked before anyone invited them. They stepped out before the road was built. They prepared the space before the blessing came. This is the heart of faithful action. It says, I will build the ark even though the skies are clear. I will dig the well even though there is no sign of rain. I will prepare the table even though I have no guest. It is not insanity, it is revelation. The world might call you foolish for believing before seeing, but in truth, this is how all things are born. Every invention, every movement, every creation began as an invisible idea in someone's mind, and it only came into form because they acted as if it already existed. They fed it, nurtured it, protected it, and eventually the world adjusted itself to reflect that unseen vision. So why not you? Why not trust your inner knowing more than outer facts? Why not act from the place that says, it is already mine? Because once you begin, once you make the first faithful move, the entire universe begins to respond. The doors you thought were locked begin to open. The people you thought were out of reach begin to appear. The path you couldn't see begins to unfold under your feet, not because you forced it, but because you aligned with it. Do not underestimate the power of one faithful step. It may seem small, it may seem ordinary, but if it is rooted in conviction, it will shake foundations. It will ripple through your life in ways you cannot yet see. It is not your job to understand how. It is your job to trust that your faithful action carries within it the momentum of the universe. Your action is not isolated. It is connected to a greater flow, a higher intelligence, an invisible orchestration that is always working on your behalf. You don't need to see the whole picture. You only need to take the next step with confidence. You don't need to have it all figured out. You only need to act as if it's already working in your favor. And it is. Even now, behind the veil of circumstance, things are moving, shifting, aligning for you. But they are waiting for your signal. And your signal is not more desire, it is aligned action. When you walk in faith, the universe walks with you. When you move as if it is already done, the path clears. Not all at once, but enough for the next move, and the next. And before long, what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Because faithful action has a power all its own. It bridges the gap between the invisible and the visible. It calls forth a promise before the performance. And it reminds the universe that you are ready. Not waiting, not hoping, but ready. Are you hopeful? And in that readiness, miracles are made manifest. There is a frequency beneath your actions, a vibration that either repels or invites the life you want. And that frequency is determined not by how much you do, but by how you feel as you do it. This is the secret most people miss. Power is not in the force of your hustle, but in the energy behind your being. The universe responds not to desperation or struggle, but to the quiet certainty of someone who already feels what they desire is true. It is not force that moves the heavens, it is feeling. Because feeling is the bridge between the seen and the unseen, the inner and the outer, the desire and its fulfillment. If you try to manipulate life with your hands while your heart still trembles with fear, you will find the journey long and unyielding. But if you can hold the feeling of the outcome, gently, without doubt, without rush, the outer world will respond in kind. Not through chaos, but through clarity. Not through strain, but through flow. This is the power that is released not in noise, but in stillness. You must feel your way into alignment, not fight your way into results. When you understand that the secret power you carry is activated by the feeling of already being the person you want to become, you stop chasing and start creating. You stop reaching and start allowing. You stop doubting and begin embodying. The power is not waiting to be earned, it is waiting to be accepted. And the way you accept it is by feeling it as if it's already yours. Not in fantasy, but in inner truth. In the language of the spirit, feeling is the only voice the universe understands. It is easy to get trapped in the illusion that more action equals more results. But this is only true when your action is backed by alignment. When your inner world is chaotic, and you try to cover it with endless motion, you only multiply the disorder. But when your inner world is calm, when it is full of belief and assurance, even your smallest movement creates massive shifts. Because the outer is always echoing the inner, not the effort, but the essence. You do not need to feel powerful every second of the day. You only need to choose the feeling often enough that it becomes your home. At first, this may feel like pretending. It may feel like lying to yourself, but it is not a lie. It is a remembrance. It is the act of returning to your true state, the one that existed before the world taught you fear, before rejection carved its name into your memory, before failure whispered that you were not enough. You were enough before you proved anything. You were powerful before anyone agreed. You were chosen before you were noticed. And so you must feel from that place even if your environment offers no support. Even if your bank account, your relationships, your health, or your past contradict that feeling. Because the moment you allow yourself to feel the end, you begin to dissolve the middle. The distance between desire and manifestation collapses, the resistance fades, and life moves toward you not because you forced it, but because you became the match for it. Think of a radio. You don't scream at it to play the music you want. You tune the dial. You find the frequency. You adjust yourself until the sound becomes clear. The same is true with the life you want. You don't demand it to appear. You tune your energy. You align your feelings. You feel what it would be like to live in that life now, and suddenly you're living in it, not yet physically perhaps, but spiritually, emotionally, energetically. And that's what matters most. Because once you shift the feeling, the facts begin to follow. Once you live as if you're already whole, the things that match wholeness start to arrive. You don't attract what you're missing, you attract what you are. So become what you seek, not through words, but through feeling. Sit with the emotion of having arrived. Let it live in your body. Let it color your perception. Let it become so normal to you that anything less feels strange. This does not mean forcing yourself to feel good all the time. It means choosing the feeling of alignment even when it's uncomfortable. It means practicing the vibration of your vision until it becomes natural. It means trusting that every time you sit in that feeling, even for a moment, you are moving the invisible gears of the universe in your favor. You are creating currents that no one can see, but everyone will eventually feel. Do not wait for the feeling to come after the change. That's not how this works. The change will come after the feeling. You must go first. You must close your eyes and dare to feel rich, to feel loved, to feel successful, to feel healed. And then you must carry that feeling like a sacred flame, guarding it against the winds of doubt. Because your feeling is not just emotion, it is instruction. It is the signal that tells the universe, this is who I am now. Bring me everything that agrees with this. If you feel forgotten, the world will forget you. If you feel powerful, the world will remember you. If you feel like a victim, you will see endless reasons to prove it. But if you feel like a victor, if you feel chosen, worthy, alive, then your circumstances will begin to take shape around that identity. This is not philosophy, this is law. This is the invisible mechanism by which the unseen becomes seen, not through logic, not through effort, but through the subtle, undeniable frequency of feeling. You are not here to earn worthiness, you are here to remember it. You are not here to chase success, you are here to feel what success feels like before it ever shows up. And in doing so, you allow it in, you open the door, you make space. Because life is not holding your blessings back. It is only waiting for you to stop contradicting them with your emotions. You cannot feel broken and expect to receive wholeness. You cannot feel lacking and expect abundance. But the moment you feel differently, everything begins to move. Let your imagination lead your emotion. Let your emotion lead your energy. Let your energy lead your life. And do it not because you're pretending, but because you finally remember the truth. The real power was never in what you could do. It was always in what you dared to feel. When you live from the end, when you carry yourself as though your desire is already fulfilled, you become something that the world cannot ignore. You become the evidence of the unseen. You become the living, breathing reflection of a reality that hasn't yet fully unfolded, but is already set in motion. This is the mystery of creation, that the world does not shape your belief, but your belief shapes the world. The moment you stop needing proof and decide to become the proof, the atmosphere around you shifts. You begin to walk with a different kind of certainty, not the kind that needs validation, but the kind that knows what it knows. And in that knowing, you send out a signal more powerful than any words could express. People feel it before you speak. Circumstances begin to bend before you act. Life rearranges itself because you are no longer negotiating with your desire, you are embodying it. This is the point where most people fall short. They wait for life to give them something to believe in. They wait for success before feeling successful. They wait for love before feeling lovable. They wait for healing before feeling whole. But the law of creation doesn't work that way. It is not reactive, it is responsive. You do not become because of what happens, you become, and then things happen because of it. You become the evidence when you choose to live from the state of having, not from the state of wanting. Wanting is a declaration of absence. It keeps you locked in the energy of lack. But having, feeling as though it's already yours, creates a magnetic force that draws the fulfillment toward you. It's not about pretending. It's not about fooling yourself. It's about aligning so deeply with the truth of your vision that you no longer question its arrival. You don't ask if it will come. You live as though it already has. And in doing so, you become the sign others have been looking for. You become the answer they didn't know they needed. Not because you set out to prove anything, but because you dared to live from a different level of awareness. You are no longer echoing the world's noise. You are transmitting a new signal. One that says, it is possible, it is here, it is real. You must understand this. When you embody your future now, when you let the feeling of fulfillment become your atmosphere, your life starts moving in directions you could never predict. Doors open without effort. People appear without planning. Resources find their way to you because you've stopped repelling them with doubt. You've become a match, and so they come. Not as rewards for hard work, but as reflections of your inner state. There is a sacred responsibility in becoming the evidence. It means you must live above circumstance. You must refuse to be defined by temporary conditions. You must remember, even in moments of confusion, that the truth you carry is more real than what you see. The unseen is not less true. It is more true. It is the root. And when you nurture that root through feeling, through imagination, through assumption, the outer form must follow. Living from the end is not a one-time act. It is a daily devotion, a practice of alignment. You wake up each day and recommit to the truth that what you desire is already yours. You train your thoughts to reflect it. You guide your emotions to match it. You carry your body as though it's already living in the world you've envisioned. This is not delusion, it is design. You are not ignoring reality, you are creating a new one. People will not always understand this. They may call you arrogant, unrealistic, or naive, but that's because they are still waiting. You are no longer waiting, you are becoming. You have chosen to believe not in the seen, but in the substance behind it. And that is a power most people never tap into. But once you do, your life becomes the message. You don't need to explain it. You are it. When you enter a room, you carry the energy of someone who already knows. And that knowing changes the room. It changes conversations. It changes opportunities. Because when you believe in your future so deeply that it becomes your present, the world responds not to your wish, but to your embodiment. You are not asking for anything. You are standing in it. And that kind of energy doesn't beg, it commands, not through force, but through truth. This is why some people succeed seemingly without trying. It's not that they didn't try, it's that their energy did most of the work. They lived from the place of it being done. They didn't chase, they attracted. They didn't push, they aligned. And in that alignment, everything began to flow. You can do the same. You can wake up tomorrow and decide that you are no longer going to act like someone waiting for a miracle. You will be the miracle. You will stop rehearsing your pain, your lack, your fears, and start rehearsing the reality you choose to live in. And the more you practice that feeling, the more natural it becomes, until one day you realize you are no longer acting, you are it. You have become the person who has, not the person who hopes. And from that place, life opens up in ways you never imagined, not because it's trying to reward you, but because it's responding to the new version of you that you dared to believe into existence. You are no longer a seeker. You are no longer a beggar. You are no longer waiting for the light. You are the evidence that the light is already here. The journey is not from wishing to having. It is from wishing to being. And the moment you choose to be, fully and without apology, the world has no choice but to reflect that truth back to you, because that is the law, that is the design, and you were made to live by it.